Hello everybody, welcome to Nerd Quiz, a celebration of nerd trivia. This is episode 11. I'm very proud to have gotten this far, and it is October, so everything this month is Halloween themed. We're going to start off with round 1, literature, Stephen King novels. How well do you know the master of horror? We're going to find out right now. Number 1. In which Stephen King novel are a father and daughter hunted by a mysterious government organization known as the Shop, who want to study and possibly weaponize the girl's psychic abilities? Number 2. Which of Stephen King's novels was first serialized in 6 volumes? Number 3. What is Stephen King's longest novel? Number 4. Cycle of the Werewolf, a very short novel about a werewolf who terrorizes a small town in Maine over the course of a year, was first conceptualized as an illustrated what? And number 5, in The Dead Zone, what real-life politician does Johnny Smith shake hands with and foretell that he will become President of the United States? Round 2, we're going to look at some mythology, one of my favorite subjects, and specifically some mythological monsters, since it is, as I said, Halloween. Number 6, in what structure would you find the Minotaur? Number 7, the Sphinx is typically depicted as what animal with the face of a human? Number 8, in Greek mythology, Medusa and her 2 sisters are known as what type of creatures? Number 9. What female spirit in Irish folklore is said to wail nearby when someone is about to die? And number 10. What mischievous fairy-like creatures were blamed for airplane mechanical failures on both sides of the conflict in World War II? I like mythology. Round 3, I did this last year for my Halloween Nerd Quiz episode. We have horror movie quotes. Once again, I'm going to play you a quote, a little snippet of dialogue from a horror movie, and I want you to name the movie. Alright, let's hear number 11.
She just goes a little mad sometimes. We all go a little mad sometimes. Haven't you?
Number 12.
We accept a one of us. We accept a one of us.
Gooba gobble, gooba gobble.
We accept her. We accept her. Google gobble. Google gobble. One of us. One of us. Google gobble.
Number 13.
It's the power of Christ that compels you. The power of Christ 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 compels you.
Number 14.
Granddad was a priest in Trinidad. He used to tell us, when there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth.
And this is a very brief snippet, so listen carefully to number 15.
Meteor shift.
And round 4, for the visual component of the quiz, we have horror movie props. Yeah, I'm going to show you a prop that is featured prominently in a horror movie franchise. And I want you to name the franchise. Pretty simple. Here it is. Number 16. Number 17. Number 18. Number 19. And finally, number 20. All right, everybody, pencils down. Let's see how you did. We're going to go over the answers. How much did you know about Stephen King? Well, there's so much to talk about Stephen King, really. It's hard to narrow this down to 5 questions. The man has written so many books. Anyway, number 1, the novel I described there is one of my favorites of his, Firestarter. Great book. I recently read it again. It still holds up. It's fantastic. Number 2, that serialized novel was The Green Mile. And I was in college when that came out, and I would get each volume once a month. And it was excruciating to have to wait that long to read the next part of the story, which was so fascinating, so engaging. It was great. It was a wonderful experiment. When it was Stephen King, it was a big, big deal. Number 3, Stephen King has written a lot of long books, but what's his longest? It. Huge chunk of paper. It's a great book. It takes a long time to read, but it's well worth it. Number 4, Cycle of the Werewolf started out as a very small project, an illustrated calendar. The illustrations are still there in the book, and each book takes place in a different month of the year. So if you read it, you would go, this could be a calendar. Well, it almost was, except it was a little bit too long for a calendar because it's Stephen King, but it's still a fun little book. Number 5, in the Dead Zone, Johnny Smith shakes hands with Jimmy Carter, and he says, "You are going to be the next president of the United States." And hey, we all know, of course, that he was right. Number 2, mythological monsters. Where would you find the Minotaur? He would be in the labyrinth. Number 7, the Sphinx is a lion with the head of a human, sometimes male, sometimes female, sometimes with wings, sometimes with not, but almost always a human-headed lion. Number 8, the Medusa, not the Medusa. Her name is Medusa. It's not the, that's her name. Her name is Medusa, and she has 2 sisters, and they were immortal, and they have much more complicated names, but collectively they were known as Gorgons. Number 9, that female spirit in Irish folklore, one of my favorite monsters. It's the Banshee. She doesn't attack, she just announces the death of someone nearby. Could be someone in your family, could be someone in battle who will die. A lot of people die in battle, and she mourns them preemptively. Very spooky. And number 10, a little bit of modern mythology for you. Gremlins. Yeah, they were said to sabotage airplanes. This caused all sorts of chaos for both the Allies and the Germans. Of course, it was really just a way of passing the buck along. Hey, we built the airplane wrong. Gremlins. Gremlins, it must have been. Yeah. Anyway, number 11, horror movie quotes. This is one of my favorite movie quotes ever.
We all go a little
It's
mad
from
sometimes.
Psycho. Number 12, I hope you've seen this. If you don't recognize this, please go watch Freaks. It's very disturbing, but it's a great movie to watch. Number 13, of course, probably one of the greatest horror movies. Some people put it as number 1, some people put it just underneath the next one. But this is from The Exorcist, yeah. Number 14 is what I myself say is the greatest horror movie of all times, and a lot of people agree with me, Dawn of the Dead. And number 15, that was from Creepshow. And the actor who utters that line is none other than Stephen King.
Meteor ship.
Round 4, horror movie props. A few of these, of course, you're going to know right away. Number 16 was the glove from Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, worn by Freddy, of course. Number 17 is the hockey mask that Jason Voorhees wears through the Friday the 13th series. Of course, he wasn't in the first one, but we all know that anyway. Number 18 is that puzzle box from Hellraiser. Its actual name is the Lament configuration. And they always say in the movies that it can open a doorway to hell or to heaven. And you never see heaven. It's always hell. Why? Can't we just open it and go, oh, everything's better now? It's heaven. It's good angels. I'm feeling great. I'm glad I made this purchase. But no, we never have that. Number 19 is a book that is never a good idea to open. That is the Necronomicon from the Evil Dead movies. And number 20, those are the shoes worn by the Leprechaun in the Leprechaun franchise. Yes, he's a goofy guy, and sometimes he kills people in space or the hood. It got goofy real quick, man. Anyway, hey, here we are at the end of the show here. I want to talk a little bit, if I may, about Stephen King. I love Stephen King. His books take up over half of one of my bookshelves, but the first book of his I ever read was almost the last. I was in high school, and all my friends were reading Stephen King, mostly because there was a teacher who banned him from her classroom. If she caught you reading a Stephen King book, she would confiscate it, which is a stupid idea, right? You're in school, hey, stop reading, give me that enormous book. Stop it. That's a stupid idea, right? And so I had none of that. I'm gonna stick it to the man or the woman because she's a terrible person. I'm gonna read Stephen King. I am gonna read this very latest book of his that just came out and happened to be Tommyknockers, which is a terrible book. It is also a very large book, and most of it is bad. There's a few sections, it's a really cool premise. There's an alien ship under the ground, and it's sort of emanating some sort of radiation that's affecting the town. They're beginning to invent alien technology on their own. They're beginning to be a little weird, starting to become almost a hive mind. And then that just kind of stops. That just stops, and right in the middle we get this guy who is recovering from alcohol. And that's, that could be a good story, but it's not the story I want right now, and I don't want 300 goddamn pages of it. And so I plowed through that book and I said, this is crap. Why the hell does everybody love this guy? Why is this the most popular writer in the world? I don't get it. And then I read Firestarter and I got it. Because Firestarter, as I said before, is great. Cujo is very good. The Stand is amazing. Stephen King is a great writer. Not all of his books are great, however. After his accident in 1999, his output was not very good, man. He put out Dreamcatcher, which is a crappy novel. Crappy in almost literal sense. It's full of crap. And then the last few books of the Gunslinger series, which we were all clamoring for, we were all begging for, those are not very good. Very disappointing. And I thought, well, okay, the guy's washed out. Maybe he should retire. He talked about retiring after his accident. Maybe he should just give it up. This has gone downhill. I'm not as excited about Stephen King as I used to be. And then Under the Dome. An amazing book. Also one of his biggest books. It is pure plot, and that plot drives at full speed the entire novel. I read it in like 2 weeks. It's like over 1,000 pages, and I read it in 2 weeks. So it is so good. And he kept putting out book after book after book that are great. The man is like, he's been writing for 40, 50 years, and he's now again at the top of his game. If you think The Stand is his best book ever, you haven't been reading recently, man. These are some fantastic books. Not everyone is perfect, but they're all good. The man has had a long string of novels that have been very good. And I'm proud to say I'm a Stephen King fan. So it just leaves me to thank 9 Inch Nails for the use of their music. If you ever wondered what the music is that I play, it's from 9 Inch Nails' Ghosts, which is Halloween appropriate. And thank you, the internet, for being sometimes scary, but in a controllable way. Happy Halloween, everybody! Yeah, watch a scary movie, read a scary book. Doesn't have to be Stephen King. Do yourself a favor. Go get scared. I'll see you guys next time for some more Nerd Trivia. Oh! That's Halloween for a goodbye.